Well, damn. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat: The Return of the Dragon King. Last time, war has been declared in Outworld, as the fleet was led by the Chameleons, as the foot soldiers were led by them, with the Shao Kahn, the Centaurs, the Saurians, some of the Edenian Royal Guard was involved, along with Frost, Smoke, Nightwolf, and Baraka, and soon Kwai and Serena, as they emerged from the Netherrealm because they freed Noob Saibot, as they were fighting against, as they'll fight against Onaga and his undead army, which are marching towards Edenia in order to demand ransom for the amulet of Shinnok, which is the final Kamidogu. Meanwhile, the champions reunited at the Nexus. Hanzo, Kung Lao, Ermac, and the spirit of Liu Kang arrived at the Nexus, and Hanzo said to Kung Lao it was time to take the Kamidogu away so they could draw Onaga there. And as soon as he took the Earthrealm Kamidogu, he actually had a flashback of what happened at the very end when Onaga came to be, and Damashi was actually deception, like Liu's grandfather said. And Shujinko actually gave Onaga a second chance to usurp all the realms. But this is actually the finale here, guys. And I wish I could play the song The Roof is on Fire, but, you know, copyrights and all that. So, without further delay, let's get this thing going. Alright, here we are. Continuation 10, Zenith. And this is the finale, guys. In the midst of all the pandemonium, Kung Lao was still frantically running away from the intimidating presence of Onaga, closing in on his every step. He always felt the heat and his horrifying aura as he tried to keep away the Earthrealm Kamidogu, but no matter how far away he managed, Onaga kept sensing and thus chasing after it, with the energy and briskness of horsepower in the thousands. Oh, that's the best I could describe it. The sinister Dragon King first followed the fleshling into the Outworld rip, just a sheer mile away from the Edenian resistance and Onaga's army clashing each other at the forests. Despite the flesh and splatters of blood flying, the minions noticed the presence of their overlord, yet they never faltered as they were consumed by their bloodlust for him. Instead, a few nameless cronies noticed the intruder and aimlessly fired at Lao, with Onaga on his tail, before the debris was too much as he turned back to the Nexus, while also ducking beneath the savage serpent. Liu Kang then suggested, "Quick, Kung Lao! We should head to the Chaos Realm!" The former monk gave an irritated, "Ugh! Don't fret! I'm aware of your mind not taking the world's toxic environment. I went inside you. I promise my spirit shall protect you from its intrinsic atmosphere. Now go!" With little time to spare, Lao took his brother's advice. Onaga arrived with the Nexus empty, but as he felt the energy of Earth leaving him, he knew where to go. With only about a couple minutes of reprieve, Kung Lao took a breather after he almost stumbled upon the black-yellow ramp as he ran out. Soon Onaga emerged after him, and sniffed the air for the sweating mortal. He then punched downward from the ramp, and pieces scattered, though no sign of prey. He then flew aloft and took a gamble. He saw Lao running on the slanted rooftops, even leaping to their lower portions instead of descending, even ducking in a ditch as Onaga let loose his flame breath. Lao teleported in the ground, then behind a heavily barbed fence. He dashed to one of the advanced portals, taking him over a few floating aisles, before Onaga bashed through the barrier with minimal effort. At the temple worshipping the god of chaos, the denizens were in utter shock seeing the beast for themselves. Even Havik, some feet away, "By the Tempest! It's Onaga!" He shot a gauntleted fist in disgust. I shall never let this vile ruin the ways of chaos. If I find Hotaru, I will wring off his self-righteous neck. Dairo, Darius, you are the resistance to the ways of order. Onaga's army shall be vanquished in Outworld. Seize them! Turn back, Kung Lao! The lethal hat thrower twisted his body as he made a U-turn and headed back with the horrid beast close to his heels. By the Elder Gods! Kung Lao's been hunted down by Onaga! Fujin monitored the chase, as did Ashura and the Jinsei. Lord Raiden, may I volunteer to assist the Edenian resistance? Please do, Ashura. Kwai, Frost, and Baraka are in the melee, fighting the dreaded Dragon's army. Nightwolf must have enough tainted souls necessary to enter the Netherrealm, and still bind his soul. Raiden, Nightwolf said he needs more, from the army itself. His people's contamination wasn't strong enough. He shall have his chance if he were to assist the Lin Kuei warriors, Serena and the Turcotten. Baraka helped us against his own kind, but the shaman would need someone to guide him out of the dark bowels. Of course, I'll do it. Hurry now, Ashura. We may be former Elder Gods, yet our powers can do so much in Outworld. Bring Sonya and Jax back to their senses if you can. With the Lin Kuei high-tech, Thomas was ready as he unleashed his smoke screen, spewing at the bloody brawl in the first floor, wrapping up the combatants' legs. With rockets beneath his feet, a gray cyborg rose and opened fire from aloft with a rocket or two, shooting from his chest cavity. The explosion stunned soldiers from both formations. There was enough for Sub-Zero to freeze and shatter the enemy's brittle bones. Frost was more offensive as she impaled and diced in closer combat with her icicle daggers, even attacked mano-a-mano, hand-to-hand combat like Serena did. They felt a shockwave closing fast. Frost urged her associates to jump and avoided the aftershock. That must be Jax! Much to Kwai's guess, he saw his former ally thrash through the resistance. Even the centaurs were having a field day with him since they recalled his scrimmage with Motaro. Some even stumped back, but Jax never wavered. Oh boy. Feeling it was dishonorable, he urged, Frost, Serena, seek out Jax and Sonya and brain them! The ladies obliged as they charged into the brawl, while Kwai continued to create ice storms utilizing the Dragon Medallion. At least he had a better chance than against Noob Saibot. Eventually, Jax's brute strength became too much for the half-horses, as well as the Shokan, even being able to break or disable a limb or two as they cracked like twigs, which were hardly audible than their shrieks. He wasn't prepared, however, by the sudden stream stinging his face. By the time he recovered, he was unable to see his assailant. He did feel a swift blow to the back of his head and beheld a Saurian wearing a rainbow garb. He unleashed his spear, in which the Revenant attempted to rip out of the palm. Instead, he was driven close enough to shoot ice onto his feet. The slick raptor vanished and was unseen in chaos as he aimed for Jax's bare ribs. Jax struck thin air. Then the resilient reptilian spat out another acid stream onto Jax's arms as he blocked. The bionic strength enhancers were still being eaten away, leaving the Geomancer vulnerable. He drastically brushed them on the dirt, but it was an easy target as he was caught in the multicolored monster's green field. He thought he'd have his arms bust out of his body, but he was just tossed into fallen trees. Not so tough with your revenancy, are you? He taunted as he marched toward the mess. He was then hit from behind by a flexible leg. It's Sonya. Chameleon had the upper hand. Just as ashen and enthralled as her partner. Thankfully it was on cue. She was stung by a close acid stream from a slimmer version of the bulkier brawler, the female chameleon. She pinned Sonya down, even buried her face until they heard a wail from Jax. A golden dagger withdrew from his back, yet there was no blood, and an angel-like being aimed and did the same thing to Sonya. The female Saurian was alarmed, though Ashura halted her. "Don't, Saurian! They will be taken for recovery." Ah, way to go, Ashura. She emerged in the Jinsei fountain. "They're now incapacitated, Raiden." "Good. Now it's up to Nightwolf." In the middle of the fray, he sliced up numerous foes with his soul-empowered weapons, dagger, tomahawk, whatever. Once several souls dashed into him, he headed straight for the one sealed rip. He took a deep sigh. "It's all or nothing," Raiden just observed. "Nightwolf just breached the Netherrealm. Go to it, Ashura. And might I remind you, I have no jurisdiction there. Be wary of the endless sinful hordes." "You don't think I'm used to it by now?" "Hurry to the portal so you two won't get trapped for an eternity." Baraka had his hands and arm blades full, and he was about to deal with his doppelganger. Oh, jeez. Because of the unsuspecting stunt, several of the Tarkatans became vengeful on the genocidal maniac. Baraka was just too cunning and cold-hearted as he kept driving them away from the Denia militia. Another one of the hellish hybrids rushed in, although he didn't appear as slim. And basically, it's the doppelganger, even performing the rapid dices. "You are a traitor to the Tarkatan, fighting your own race. My own race has been corrupted by Outworld overlords. They're wasteful and disgraceful, deplorable working for a dragon who only re-enlists the dead. It is a way to preserve our race. Without Shao Kahn, he brings order to chaos. I would rather liberate, to form my own allegiance, and not waste our ruthless destruction that serves no purpose." "Then perish with your soft-boiled brethren, traitor! You show no honor to the Tarkatan. There's no honor in what you do!" Kick after kick, both using an impalement accompanied with a headbutt, or even firing their scythes at each other, they were surely and evenly matched. They were at each other's throats, each mutant bloodied and battered, and pushing each other's blades back at each other, although the present Baraka performed a spin kick, knocking his docile double, with his blades just inches away from his eyes. "Serve your kin blindly, then, turncoat! Urgh! Serve your emperor burnt!" The time-warped Tarkatan let loose a fiery breath like a dragon's, as his irises blazed the same shade. That took him off guard. Baraka doing a flame breath? There's more to mutants than just fangs and retractable blades. A certain god taught me that. Tarkata demands respect. We are done living in fear. Yeah, you tell that bastard. Just like in MK 11? I hope it's MK 11. There's a lava burst to hit Baraka's side, and he laid there immobilized. There was a mail which seemed to be made of ethereal energy as he declared, "There's now a new order that will pervade all the realms. Onaga's order. It's Hotaru. A Tarkatan never begs for mercy." With a three-pronged energy star and a blue projectile, both of the Chaos Crusaders, Dairo and Darius, brought the Zealot to his knees. I didn't know what else to do with these guys, but I'm glad they got rid of Hotaru. I never liked them much anyway. So, for all the good I had done, the event that had come to define me was the one moment of chaos! Yeah, well, Liu and Lao returned to the Nexus and noticed two more Kamidogu from the Netherrealm and Edenia were gone. In a separate realm, Hanzo warned, "Ermac, with possession of this Kamidogu, I might revert to my rat self, and lose my sanity and my soul like I have against Quan Chi." The Soul Kinetic encouraged, "We need all the strength we can possibly master, Hanzo. Once we should face Onaga." At a breath, Kung Lao turned tail to the Order Realm, a domain he never encountered before. Amongst every one of the massive pyramids he intersected, and he even knocked some random objects to obscure Onaga's path. As almighty as he was, he still kept at his vicious pursuit. Amongst the settlements, the Sato denizens cheered for Onaga and attempted to retaliate, and never trip their allies' enemy. It wasn't long before he turned back to the portal. Lau's stamina and adrenaline were beginning to fail him while nearing the gateway. That Onaga was close to clip him. Struggling, Lau managed to reach the Nexus once more before he crumbled and perspired at the altar. Massive layers of sweat covered his powerless body as he struggled to take in thin air. Nevertheless, Onaga cornered Lau there and knocked him down with a single monstrous lunge. The former Shaolin was battered, unable to move, let alone breathing. His vision was too hazy to notice Onaga being plummeted by a four-armed monstrosity with a few jumps atop him. He raised his beastly arms as he roared. Roar! They carried Lau up and over his bare, tense back, as he stumped to Outworld and snatched the Kamidogu. The opaque realm seemed calm and less disturbed as the Shokan laid the helpless victim down to the cool ground. He took out the circular amulet and both it and the blue-green jewel ignited. He aligned them. They grew brighter. It conjured energy flowing into earth realms. Seconds later, they both darkened and Lau began to stir from his stupor. His sight cleared. Goro? He just lowered his arms. Snap out of it, Kung Lao. The realms need our help. What must I do? Stop the accursed Dragon King and save the realms, if it's not too late. Goro could have sworn that he saw Liu's empowered spirit salute. Count on it, champion. The others shall await us. As soon as the trio returned to the realm between realms, Ermac, Hanzo, and their unlikely ally Havik met up. Everyone put up their dukes as they prepared for the battle of the realms as soon as Onaga made a forceful landing. The quake nearly knocked the quintet off their feet, yet they stayed firm. And there's the final battle. Liu Kang usurped Lau's vessel, although Havik was the first to break through and attack the beast with his signature torso spin, flailing his limbs. He was just as wrathful, despite most of the Kamidogu belonging to each of the warriors excepting Sato's. Despite his uncanny maneuvers, Onaga's bulk and monstrous strength was like Mount Everest. Ah, crap. Hang on a sec, guys. I gotta turn the light off because I don't want the clock to chime in. Ay. And this is where you will hear The Roof is on Fire, that techno classic, as you would see in my virtual soundtrack. So, alright, the diving corpse. It was each of his counters were lethal, breaking Havik's limbs, which he let. A disabled arm, a leg he easily reattached and kept on the scrimmage after he performed his recovering corpse taunt. The diving corpse had little effect. The crackling lead projectile seemed to be even with the beast's immense fireballs, and even snapping Havik's neck after his enemy's aerial throw provided him energy. He thought he was the most resilient combatant, thinking on defeating Onaga alone, although his vanity was a weakness as Onaga became more brutal. His size and tremendous strength mattered. By the time Havik wavered, Goro charged with his signature spinning fists toward the vicious usurper. His own fireballs clashed with Onaga's, and their ferocity seemed equal. With every tackle, punch, or kick, it was as if the prince mimicked him in terms of movement and impact, even mirroring Goro's maneuver, the Shokan jump. Although since he was a heavyweight, he was still affected by Onaga's super power bomb, as it greatly irritated his body, even when the stream of flame made Goro waver with his bare skin. When he was weakened, he switched for Hanzo, letting loose his rage. He encountered the beast with his usual spear, wrapping and pulling it, taut, drawing the dragon nearby. although the beast's brutalness was nearly enough to tear it out of his palm. He instantly withdrew and countered with his own fiery breath in conjunction to Onaga's. His fireballs were still forceful on the Wraith, even his charges like a massive bull. Though he did manage to catch and perform an aerial throw, he managed to make a pyro teleport from beneath, although he was still at Onaga's mercy when he was caught in a seismic throw from the air. His aerial combat didn't work. Ermac took over with a teleport punch, seeing his associate injured. Unlike the other combatants, he kept his strategy to attack from a distance. His moves even covered long ranges, including Assault Balls, Hado Energy, and Telekinetic Slam. Hell, his lunges while being imbued in his soul energy made some marks, as Onaga was held only for a millisecond by the Collector's fields. While he was the most agile, he was still mangled, even caught in Onaga's flames, making him falter. Lastly were the Orientals. However, Liu Kang seemed to be the most effective, as his combined strength with Lao's dealt double damage, much to the cleric's jealousy. Mostly from the lethal moves of Boraicho, consisting of the bicycle and the whirlwind kicks. Onaga wasn't stupid, as he blocked some of the cousin's counters. Even the power bomb was little problem, as Lao strategized quickly, with his teleport avoiding the unrelenting terrain and performed the shell-and drop instead. Aiko and her compatriots at the Elemental Temple were roaring for the best combatants, as was Raiden and his spectators in the Jinsei. But he wasn't thrilled as Onaga wound up and fired toward their tornado kick, thinking they'd deflect them. Lao's hat throw was even caught in Onaga's palm, which threw back the lethal projectile, to which Lao squirmed his body down to avoid the same technique Motaro used. Liu lunged with his flying kick, but didn't make the beast back away much. His brutal counteract was more injuring. Since then, combatants took turns against Onaga's ferocity, and he nearly had enough strength to best them all, even when kneeling at a distance as they observed Scorpion the first time out. Something began to break within each of them, even inside Kung Lao's inner pocket. Liu Kang summarized in his host, "Everyone!" He simply hijacked Lao's vessel to reach in and punch the Kamidogu in his possession. The artifact shattered into many tiny shards. The monk noticed the dragon faltered as well. He unleashed another flying kick, which seems to cause more damage. Using the decoy to their advantage, each combatant, excepting Havik, broke their corresponding pieces. No! You treacherous fools! These Kamidogu hold the keys against Onaga and support the ways of chaos. They must each be destroyed, Havik. Shijinko said they mean nothing without the last piece. Now, champion! With pent-up rage, Kung Lao kept on slicing Onaga with his fatal hat as he performed furiously his fatal razor's edge. His brutality. Many lacerations were made as Onaga began to hunch over. Finally, unleash your might like you did with Shang Tsung! Everyone, now! Ah, crap, is time up? I may have to divide this into 2 parts. His teammates followed his instructions, decimating the realm's own pendants, and then landed some aggressive blows into Onaga. Seeing the Order Realm relic still intact, Lao and Liu powered up before Onaga dove in to snatch it. In his hands was nothing but dust. Goro just lifted the stupefied dragon with his lower arms as he continually sacked him with his upper arms, before he threw him toward the fiery F4 funnel. Realizing that stunt, Scorpion performed the aerial spin. Ermac encased him in a spiritual field as he ascended the enemy higher, while Havik just stood and watched with glee. Ah, damn it, Havik! The tornado let out an enormous gale and fire as it exploded and dropped Onaga. All fighters were pooped, and Onaga was staggering but strong enough to stand. They wondered there was more they could do, until Onaga became still as he was oozing out of thin green essence. Now, Nightwolf! Raiden roared as he... as his grunt echoed from one of his shamanistic tools. His magic trap activated as the foreign symbols, lines, and the unholy terrain ignited the same soul shade. Damn it, that clock had to chime in. Anyway, where was I? Momentarily, the interior was covered by a vertical streak of light, and soon bound Onaga's spirit inside the energy field. Although the holographic body was his, it sounded like the same tone as Damashi as he screamed obscenities while being weighed by the impure spirits that bound him. Seeing the commotion from afar, Ashra signaled and guided the shaman away as quick as possible despite his own aching body from the numerous dark spirits that were raging inside. The green ooze subsided, but inside a slimmer body. The possessed vessel turned out to be the deformed reptiles in his saurian form, complete with his dagger. Baraka would surely be pleased if we can take him in alive. Footsteps pattered like raindrops as Lau wobbled as if he were Lu's reanimated corpse. Barely holding his stature and keeping his head up, his body collapsed and caught in a lime hue. As silence fell, Hanzo reverted back to his lucid self, wondered what that break of glass was with the raised arm. Ermac came to the conclusion it was the dragon amulet. I'm still in Lau's broken body, but even I'm gravely wounded. Raiden appeared, startling the group with a flashing clap. He immediately inspected the golden shards and stood upright. I must take them to the Jinsei at once, even Reptile's lifeless body. As if there was a sound, Ermac sensed Havik, drawing out a morning star, declaring in a harsh whisper to the inactive saurian vessel, Chaos shall reign forever! Oh, no you don't. It was Ermac. Havik, as he jagged his limbs, No! Can it, you! Then it gave him a direct kick to his ribs, sending him through the Chaos Realm portal. Ha! He didn't have a chance to consume Onaga's heart. Even though, technically, it's reptiles now, but in the ending to Deception, you would see. Good thing it's non-canon. Oh, man. It was all a setup for his own gains. The impact made him be thrown back to the city wrecked by Onaga before the rip closed. He stood up slowly and just let out a cackle in glee, relishing Onaga's lethal combat, and wished to fight a war as sporadic and deadly as that again. Spoilers! Wait! A saurian can be vicious upon inspection, but Raiden said we have no choice but to head to the Sky Temple. Numerous bodies laid inside the sacred fountain. Even the monks stood at attention, guarding the place, and they weren't too thrilled of the several visitors. Johnny, Sonya, Jax, Kung Lao, Lu's corpse, and the heroic fighters who were in recovery, with Raiden and Fujin awaiting their fates. 'Cause, some were dead. Word got out to the defenders of the elemental temple. The hero succeeded, and the crowd cheered. Aiko came close to the royal family to avoid the calamity, instantly worried of Kung Lao's welfare, while Li Mei recalled him moments later. Katana and Sindel reunited with Sherrod in a tight embrace, and the queen reiterated her daughter's sudden chant to him, which may be possible to separate Onaga's spells over the special forces. Aiko became desperate of Kung Lao, in which Sherrod assured he's recovering. There was soon an audience outside Raiden's sacred stronghold. Aside from the escape of Kung Lao, there are the songs for that. I wish I could play The Roof is on Fire, but no, I can't. This was undoubtedly one of the hardest chapters I had to write, even finding a fitting title. And it wasn't just that, but every scenario, including the melee, in which my other epics tend to lead up to the climax. I was so damn relieved to have it done, though, especially with the anti-hero Baraka got his double taken out. That fire breath just made it more special, as like what Underdog said, Tarkatans are like the mutants in Mortal Kombat, as Baraka's like Wolverine, thus should have different abilities. And the god he's referred to should be a taste of things to come. I also got pretty anxious on taking out the new Revenants too, even Onaga, as well as Nightwolf's Sin Eater ritual. Unlike the game, he wasn't lost. And it sort of reminded me of the Devil's Trap in Supernatural, in case you didn't get the memo, another WB property Mortal Kombat should have. At least elements from it. I don't like the characters anymore. So I used a tag team battle, the first and only in this fic, unlike the previous book. The thing was, I always believed that Chaos in Dissidia was always a ripoff of Onaga from Deception. They have a similar character design, they're like almighty main villains, their attacks can be similar in terms of brute strength and pyrokinesis, aside from the godlike techniques. Chaos has as a god. Then again, Shijinko could have both a ripoff of Wang Liang from The Bouncer, so it may have been done both ways. After all, it was a reminder of the better way fighting Chaos, use 5 heroes in a party battle. Because in the original Dissidia, it was 1-on-1. 1 against 3, actually, which is totally unfair, Mr. Spamalot. In Duodecim, the prequel, was a party battle, which is 5-on-3. So that worked out well. I didn't want to get rid of Havik. His moves and concepts was too cool, though I couldn't wait to get rid of boring, communistic Hotaru. I wasn't sure what to do with Havik's associate traitors to Order, Dairu and Dorius. Believe me, they weren't all that interesting. So they gained up and brutalized him. I was also worried the realms would be affected if the Kamidogu should be destroyed. It's a relief it's nothing, and they have worthless without Shinnok's amulet. By the way, in case you guessed, the chameleons finally made themselves useful as spies and passive heroes. You're right, it wasn't easy finding roles for them, that's for sure, thus leading the Saurians and the Athenian resistance, as did Smoke as an Iron Man combatant. So the finale has been conquered. Next, the epilogue to tie up loose ends. And just in time, since the Sindel role player has returned, I had a huge fallout with her several times, and it just became official. But regardless, damn! I finally got the finale out of the way. So, in case you don't know, I'll go with the same routine, with the epilogue wrapping things up. So until then, this is the Ekron Writer signing out.